This demonstration, I'm going to continue with working with 3D text and show how to handle precompositions in 3D space here. You can see in this example, I've got a stack of text layers handled as a precomposed group. So I'm going to show how to set that up. Let me start by making a new project. And I'll make a new composition here. I'm going to call this one 3D text demo 3. I'm going to use the same settings I used in my other demonstrations. And I'll start by creating a new text layer. I'll choose it from the menu so that it automatically is centered in my composition frame. Okay, there we go. Got a text layer there. Now in this case, I want to create like a stack of layers. So I'm going to start by duplicating the layer multiple times. I'm going to hit Command D on the keyboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like I've got a total of about 12 layers here. Doesn't matter exactly how many layers we do. And then what I'm going to do is click the 3D switch for the layers to turn them all into 3D layers. There we go. So they can be composited and arranged in 3D space. Now, as I showed in the previous demos, when we have 3D layers, we can go to our 3D view pop-up menu. We can look at our layers from different angles. So I'm going to go to my custom view here so I can see the layers from a perspective angle. And then I'm going to take my move tool. I'm going to show the position property for my layers. And I'm going to go through my stack here. And I'm just going to spread the layers out on the Z-axis by maybe like 10 pixels or 20 pixels each. So starting with the top one here, I'll leave that one at 0. This next one, I'm going to go 20 pixels on the Z-axis. So you can see here if I zoom in, what that just did, it pushed the layer back a little bit. The next one, I'll go 40 pixels. The next one, I'll go 60 pixels, and so on. Going through the stack here real quick, and just going 20 pixels back for each of my duplicates, again, on the Z-axis here. So it's pushing them back in Z space. Now keep in mind when you're looking at 3D layers in 3D space, the blue arrow, that is your Z-axis arrow, and it points forward from the front of the layer. So you can always kind of identify the front side of your layers by seeing which side the blue arrow is on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and collapse that down. Now here's the grouping part of it, right? In previous lessons, we've seen how when we have a big stack of layers and we want to group them together into a single layer, we can do that by precomposing. So if I select all the layers, choose Layer, Precompose, I can give it a name. I'll call it 3D Stack. Whoops, 3D Stack. There we go. I'll hit OK. So that, groups all the layers together, basically merges all the layers together into a single layer. And it also flattens the layers into a flat image, kind of like merging layers in Photoshop. Now keep in mind here, I was in a 3D view, but that 3D view has gone away because I no longer have a 3D layer in this composition. So a couple things we need to do here when we make a 3D group. One, we need to click the 3D switch for the group. So the layer, again, the group layer, the precomposed layer, becomes a 3D layer. But you can see what I mean about how the layer is flattened. It's like a flattened picture. And, inside that group, of course, there's an arrangement of 3D layers. So to tell this precomposed layer to basically, be a 3D object instead of being a flattened picture, we have to click this switch right here, the collapse transformation switch. That basically unflattens the layer, allowing it to be treated like a 3D object. And so this right here is kind of the trick to creating 3D objects out of flat layers in After Effects by building precomps and then clicking both of these switches, the 3D switch and the collapse transformation switch. Now, having done that, I can now go to my scale property, for example. And if I unlink my scale values and adjust the Z scale, you can see that I can, animate or control the depth of this group that I've now created. Now keep in mind that the render view is the active camera view, not your custom view. So if you're in one of these other views, don't forget to switch back to your active camera view to see what it is you're going to get if you render or when you render. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and show my rotation and take my rotate tool and maybe tilt this a little bit. And you can use the controls on the layer itself as well. And then I'm going to animate the scale to just do a simple, effect here. So maybe I have this animate from like 10, and then a few seconds later, I'll go ahead and bring that out. I'll scrub the number. Now remember, when you scrub the numbers by clicking and dragging, if you hold the shift key, it'll go in bigger increments. And there we go. Simple little animation involving a 3D group using precomposing to create a basically 3D object out of flat layers. All right, hopefully this gives you some ideas for continuing to build in 3D and do 3D typography in After Effects. And I'll see you in the next video.